Huge news for the Magnus v. Magnuson Classic. So, real big announcement for the MVM Classic this year. The one and only, the Toffee King himself, Mateusz Kieliszkowski, has put his name down for this competition, just announced a few days ago. And this is big news, not only for the competition, but also for Mateusz himself, who competed earlier this year. He was actually second at the Arnold Classic. I think people forget sometimes how good this guy is when he's in shape. Been riddled with injuries the last few years. But my personal view is this is the perfect comp for him to come back to in terms of the style of the competition, the caliber of athletes he's going up against. I feel sometimes he tries to come straight back to the Arnold's or the Rogue Invitational, or the, against, no disrespect to this lineup, but against the absolute very, very best.
Yeah.
This is a better competition to kind of ease back in, have some fun with it, enjoy himself, and get that competitive bug back. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I totally agree. I think this lineup, we've got some great athletes here, so it's going to be a challenge without him having to push to that extreme limit. There's no pressure either.
No, and he's coming back from an injury, a serious injury as well, a torn Achilles. And from talking to him, he is still worried about a couple of events.
Yes.
Could very well be a deadlift in there, which is his predominant weakness, particularly against those very, very best guys. And he's still a little bit nervous when it comes to certain moving events. Talking to him with his training, he says some things are going great, some things he's still scared of. So this is a good competition to come back to. He doesn't have to put that pressure on himself that he has to win or anything like that. Get competing, get the fans interested, because as a Strongman fan, he's one of my favourites.
Oh, he's my absolute favourite. But we should talk about a couple of the guys he's going to be up against, because we've got the last two winners of the Magnus v. Magnuson Classic returning. Tristan Hoth, who won last year, and Rongo Keane, another one of my favourites, who's coming back. He won the year before. Shane Flowers is back again. We'll go deeper, in more depth, closer to the competition, because this is actually the last pro competition of the year.
Yeah, and it's a fun one.
It is a fun one,
A couple of things that I love about the Magnus v. Magnuson Classic. Firstly, it's outdoors, using the environment as part of the challenge. So not only do you have to cope with the events, it's coping with the coldness, the harsh weather conditions that you're going to be competing in. Takes me back to my competitive days when we didn't just have the beautiful arenas and perfect conditioning. And I think from a fan's point of view, it's quite fun to watch that.
Yeah.
Seeing who can cope with being adaptable, being able to cope with those changes. It's a skill that's needed to be a top level strongman.
I like that it's almost exclusively logs and rocks, all of the equipment.
And multiple events.
Yes.
Usually you're looking at 8 or 9 events at the Magnus v. Magnuson Classic, which again, I think suits someone like Kieliszkowski that might have that deadlift in there as a weakness. Yeah. He has enough time to claw points back in other events. But as you said, very solid lineup, and I think a good lineup for him to get his kind of competitive juices flowing and give us a sneak peek of what we could expect maybe at some of the really big shows next year.
So on the subject of athletes being added to a lineup, I know Giants Live have been posting a lot about the World Tour finals and the lineup there. We did have a lot of those names already. One new name that's just been added though is Luke Richardson, off the back of his 3rd place at the World Opens just a week or two ago.
Yeah, really good to see. Luke Richardson was amazing at the World Open and he thoroughly deserves this invite. I think if he can keep that confidence growing, improve again from that performance, he's suddenly going to be a major threat potentially next year. Just needs to keep himself fit and healthy, and he's one of the best. And we've said that for many, many years regarding Luke. I think just seeing him enjoy himself was good on my, from my perspective watching him, and as a fan as well. He's a great strongman, someone that could challenge those very top guys and win major shows. So great to see him get this invite, and I think it could be good events for him as well.
Yeah. But before all of that, we do have the Deadlift World Championships and the USA Strongman Championships next weekend at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. Do you want to go through the lineup, Lasse?
So, really solid lineup. We've got the world's strongest man is going to be there, Tom Stoltman, and the return of his big brother, Luke Stoltman, who we haven't seen since World's Strongest Man. He had that bicep issue, but he's back training hard and he's looking forward to coming to Vegas. As well as the Stoltmans, we have the incredible Mitch Hooper has been dominating almost everything this year. Iron Bibi, who is coming for his first full competition since 2021. I cannot believe it's been that long.
I know.
Since we've seen Iron Bibi in a full show. Do you remember at the World Open, Mitch was saying, you're going to do the whole show.
You're going to do the Atlas.
You're going to do the Atlas stones. And he's like, yeah, I'll do everything. At least one Atlas stone.
At least one. That's good enough.
If he gets the Atlas stone, he'll have done all the other events.
Yes.
So we will take that as a win. Looking at the events, I think Bibi can do well.
He's got some great events. We'll go through those in a minute.
Okay. Evan Singleton. Now, he was disappointed with his performance at the World Open. On home turf, can he put in a big one and, show he is one of the absolute best in the world? He's had an up and down year. Some comps where he's been utterly, dominant. Other shows he's not been at his best. Be good to see Evan back to his best in Vegas. Another one of your favourites, Alexei Novikov. Again, an athlete that's kind of, he's coming back from injury. Each time we see him, he's looking a little bit better. He was decent at the World Open. We're seeing that progress, and we want to see more progress as he comes into Vegas to build on to next year, because Alexei, when he's in form, we say it all the time, but you can't deny, you look at the 2021, 2020 World,
so
Alexei
good.
was amazing. He's not been the same athlete for the last couple of years, but that's what injuries do in sport. But when you're as good as that, the talent is always there. And if he can keep clawing himself back up, keep getting better results, I think we can see him back to his best. He's still only a young man. Matt Ragg, he's had a good year, solid year. He's been competing in a lot of big shows. There was a lot of talk of Matt winning a lot of big events. He hasn't been able to do that yet. However, every comp we see good performances from him. I know he's going to be looking forward to the deadlift as well in this show. And another man I'm looking forward to seeing on the deadlift is Austin Andrade. Recently pulled 440 kilos for a double in training. He's not someone anyone is talking about when it comes to the deadlift, but I can see this man causing a big issue and problems for a lot of the big names. Trey Mitchell is coming back to Giants Live after his 4th place finish at the Strongest Man on Earth. He is starting to come back into great form, which is fantastic to see. And the final athlete within the whole show is Eddie Williams, coming all the way from Australia. He's got an amazing grip. I'm sure he might even sing for us as well.
So first up, we have Lucy Underdown. She's the only woman competing in the Deadlift World Championships, and she's going to be attempting to break her record of 700 pounds. Is that 320?
317 and a half kilos. That was her record, which I think she's gonna smoke it.
I think so too, yes.
I mean, I know a lot of the women would love to see other women in this show, but right now, I think Lucy is head and shoulders above everyone when it comes to the deadlift.
Yeah, she kind of is in a league of her own right now, isn't she? So, yeah. I would like to see it more of a competition though, but this also brings me back, and we've said it before, I'd love to see the Log and Deadlift World Championships run as a separate show.
Something we can talk about on another day.
Okay. So we have 3 athletes who are going to be doing the deadlift only. That's the World Deadlift Championships. And they are Rauno Hainler, who is the current record holder in the 18-inch deadlift, the silver dollar deadlift, and he holds the Masters World Record at 476 kilos. We've got Ivan Makarov, who won the Deadlift World Championships in 2021 with a 475 kilo pull. He has probably tried 505 more than anyone else on earth. And finally, we have Graham Hicks, who was last year's Deadlift World Championship winner when he pulled 470 kilos.
Yeah, those 3 are the real big names when it comes to the deadlift. However, I think we could have a real battle in terms of just, if this was just about winning the deadlift competition, I think there could be a real battle. And I could see as many as potentially 6 athletes pulling around the 470 mark. I've kind of said I don't think anyone's going to pull the 505, and I said this on one of our lives. I said Hicksy's got a 15 to 20% chance. Okay. He wasn't happy with me.
Wasn't he?
But, and I said to him, I will be over the moon.
No one would be happy.
No, of course. Him as an athlete has to believe he can do it.
Of course.
And, we're all allowed our opinions, and I would genuinely love to see any of these guys do it.
As motivation.
However, at the moment, I feel maybe 505 is just a little bit too much, and that brings us to the jumps that are going to be used, because Mitch Hooper has put them out there.
So now we can publicly discuss it because it's already out.
Do you want to go through what the jumps are, and then we'll kind of give you guys our thoughts?
Okay, so they are opening up with 400 kilos. I expect everyone in this lineup to get that. Then they're moving on to 400.
It's quite a crazy thing to say, just to think that everyone will get 400.
But they will. They should.
You go back to 2014, the Deadlift World Championships, and only one athlete failed 400 in that competition. The standard of deadlifting now is crazy, because back then 400 was like, everyone doing 400 was crazy.
Yeah.
And now it's just expected. Yeah. If you're a pro level strongman, if you can't do 400,
people expect
get the hell out of here.
If you're at the Deadlift World Championships,
Well, yes.
maybe, yeah. But then
yes.
we're moving on to 425 kilos. Then we have, I think it's 455, the 1,000-pound kilo.
The 1,000-pound kilo?
The 1,000-pound kilo after that. Then it's 470 kilos. Then it's 505 kilos. I have thoughts about this.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Okay. One, like, I understand why they do the fixed jumps and don't allow athletes to choose their numbers. It's a time issue. I get it. However, I would really, really like an extra jump in there. Mm-hmm. That's one less jump than we had at the Log Lift World Championships, for example. So, you know, we could do it. We could fit it in. I personally would take out that 470.
Okay.
I would have a slightly lighter, so maybe like a 465, and then a 480. And the reason I would have that is because if no one hits the 505 this year, unless someone else gets 470, then we're not really progressing.
Yes.
So, like, as an example, 2 years ago, 476 was the biggest lift. I would like to see the second biggest jump going up each year.
Yeah, it's almost gone backwards, hasn't it? Because we had Rauno do the 475,
No,
476 2 years ago to win the competition. Wasn't able to do the 505. Mm-hmm. Last year we had Hicksey do... No, sorry. Yeah, last year we had Hicksey do 470. Yeah. Went straight to the 505. Yeah. So it kind of went down in terms of that number before. Now I get it. They want to see that 505. Yeah. But I'm with you. I would rather see that jump that brings us to... It would essentially be the second biggest lift we've ever seen at a Giants live show.
It would. And also, if you had something like 465, there's a few £1,000 pullers in there who could get a nice 10 kilo PB. I just think that it gives us maybe a little bit more separation. Like, it would be a Masters deadlift world record if Rauno got it. It would be pretty much every single nation's world record deadlift. I just don't think...
I agree with you. I actually think the way it's set could hold some of the best deadlifters back a little bit. And now, you know, don't get me wrong, I know if you want to go for 505, you have to just go for it. You can't be doing every lift. You've got to take the risk and just go for it. However, we could be in a situation where Hicksey, Ivan, Rauno, potentially guys like Mitch Hooper, Austin Andrade, Matt Ragg could all be very, very close.
They could all tie on £1,000.
Well, they could potentially tie on 470. Yeah. I can see the big three guys have all pulled 470 or more.
Yeah.
Mitch is looking incredible in his deadlifting. Austin, let's remember, Austin pulled 430 with a few weeks' notice without a suit at last year's Deadlift World Championships. Yeah. This year he's training in a suit. The suits do make a big difference. Once you get used to them as well, he's pulled 440 in training for a double. Mm-hmm. So £1,000 is there for sure. Oh, yeah. In front of a big crowd, sometimes special stuff can happen. But yeah, we're going to see a lot of guys around the £1,000 and the 470 mark. It doesn't leave for that separation, like you say, because I still feel the best deadlifters are the big three that are coming just for the deadlift. Hicksey, Even, and Makarov. Rauno.
But there's a good chance that they skip the 470, so they do the £1,000 and then go straight to...
Absolutely, and then someone like Mitch or...
which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I just don't think... Like, in terms of seeing the progress in numbers year on year, I don't think these numbers necessarily allow for that.
Yeah, and we could have, like, other records. Say you do the 480, it allows for a Masters record. Yeah, exactly. It'll allow for national records for some of these guys. And PBs,
And it's just an opinion, obviously, you know, a fan
and we
opinion.
have to, you know, I will put out there that it's a time restraint thing, which holds Giants Live back. You know, the one rep max events do take a long time. I sometimes feel maybe you're better off just saying, right, you've got 3 attempts, and you pick the numbers that you want to go for. Yeah. Even if Giants Live set the numbers, so you can't be really picky and just have whatever you want. There's a list of numbers that you can pick, so that loading is a bit quicker. You don't have to kind of go to the really small tiny increments. But you're, as an athlete, you've got, right, I'm going to come in at 410. I'm going to go 430 and then I go 450. Something like that. Whatever suits you as an athlete, rather than being forced into, you know, doing every lift if you want. I know they can skip, but
when the jumps are that big anyway, it's a risk.
If you just have 3 lifts for each athlete, you still get through it in the same kind of time, but you can allow for more lifts. Just an idea. We're putting it out there. Let us know your thoughts, as always, on this one.
If we had the Lizzie and Lozzie Deadlift World Championships, that's what we would do. It's not our decision, but that's what I would do. That's what I would like to see.
What would you go? 80, 100.
Stop it.
Really, really like hard.
I'd go for a 100 and then I'd go for a big PB at 130.
After your 120? I don't think you should.
No, probably not.
Right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Are you as excited about us to see Mateusz Kieliszkowski back in competition? I didn't expect we would see him this year.
No,
so pleased to see him back. Lots of big shows coming up. Let us know your thoughts as always, and we'll be putting out lots of content regarding going to America for Vegas and the Deadlift World Championships this week. Make sure you tune in. We'll catch you guys next time.